G'day. Let me ask you a question. How would you feel if you were living in a very fine suburb of Toowoomba and then suddenly in the mail you got a parking ticket fine wanting to fine you $2,000 for alterations that you had made to your patio to form it into a carport after you had obtained a legitimate building permit with stamped plans from a private certifier which permitted you to do so? Would you be really happy about that? That some officious officer had served upon you a parking ticket fine, $2,000, pay up or else present yourself in the magistrate's court? I guess you'd be really happy to receive such a note. You'd really love that, wouldn't you? Well, Bruce feels like you feel. He was absolutely flabbergasted. He was gobsmacked. Couldn't believe what he was reading. Here in Australia, in a beautiful town like Toowoomba, he's living in a magnificent home constructed by one of Toowoomba's finest builders who had original approval to construct this house and this structure behind me as a patio with the roof halfway covered over the patio. Later, Bruce, who wanted to park his work vehicle off-road so that it was not unsightly in the neighbourhood, obtained a legitimate building permit from a private certifier with stamped plans to extend the roof out to the edge of the patio as it was then and to form it into a carport. Now, a carport in this position is legitimate if it is less than 9 metres long on the rear or side boundary, which this of course does comply with, and as long as it finishes at least 500 millimetres from the edge of the rear or side boundary, which of course this does. And as long as it's open on at least 2 or more sides. And of course, as you can see, it is open on 2 or more sides, and it is certainly open on this side, which is more than 500 millimetres from the side boundary. So it's a compliant carport. And he has been subsequently parking his work vehicle in here. So it's not unsightly out there on the street. But this hasn't deterred the officious officer from continuing to pursue this matter. He has served this $2,000 fine, parking ticket fine on him for his carport, which is legitimately approved. And do you think that this owner, Bruce, can get through to the chief executive officer, even of the council? There's a letter already in with the chief executive officer asking him please to consider this matter and either take this to the magistrate's court or else dismiss it as being frivolous or just dismiss it completely. But no, Bruce can't seem to get an answer out of the chief executive officer. So much so that he's had to have his solicitor send a further letter giving a further 14 days to make a decision. Take Bruce to court and present the evidence against him in court so that he can defend himself properly, or else dismiss this foolish action. What do you think should happen in this case? How do you feel about this? How would you feel if this happened to you? If this sort of thing is allowed to go on in Australia, what next? Who next will be a victim? Who next will be victimised? Who next will be demonised in this suburb or other suburbs of Australia? It's not the sort of thing that Australians like, officiousness from public servants who overstep the mark, who are overbearing and use their authority in the wrong way. This is definitely not the Australian way to go. So we present this case to you. If you'd like to make a comment below on this video, please do so. Thank you for watching. So here we are. There's Bruce's car. Hey, there's Bruce's dog. And here's Bruce's privacy gates, access off the road. He already has a curb crossover which complies with council requirements. And as we pan around, we come to Bruce's carport. As we can see, the carport is open on more than 2 sides. We can also see that the carport is more than the 500 millimetres from the rear or side boundary, however you wish to call it. We can also see, even though I don't have a tape measure, But we know that the very officious council officer has already measured the length of this carport and found it to be just under 9 metres long, and therefore it complies with the Queensland Development Code for construction of carports, and where we are permitted to build a carport up to 9 metres long within 1.5 metres of a side or rear boundary. Do you see anything wrong with this carport? Let's see if Bruce can drive his vehicle into his carport. As you'll see by the wear tyre marks on the cement, he continually uses this as a carport. It's not used for other purposes, albeit if he wanted to use it for other purposes, there's no law that says he couldn't. For example, if he wanted to have a barbecue here, for example, he could do that. He could use it for outdoor entertaining. But you can also see that the area he uses for outdoor entertaining is not under the carport, it's in fact outside the carport area. So any sort of argument about this not being a carport is ridiculous. Let's see Bruce drive the car into the carport, shall we? Well, here's Bruce driving his work vehicle into his carport. Do you see any problem with this at all? Plenty of clearance around the vehicle. Nice and safely parked within his carport, right up to his back door. And it gives his vehicle protection from the weather. If there's hailstorms in Toowoomba, it's no problem for Bruce. And the house is a very nice feature within this fine suburb of Toowoomba. A very nice home indeed, wouldn't you think? Not the sort of person that flaunts the law, but a man who has obtained a legitimate carport permit, followed the law. He has another driveway here and a garage. He parks his vehicles off-road and he tries to be a good citizen. Do you think he's deserving of a $2,000 parking ticket fine for a carport which he has a legitimate building approval for? You tell me. So here you can see for yourself, up close, the parking ticket enforcement notice for $2,000 served upon Bruce for the terrible penalty and the failure of Bruce to comply with an enforcement notice to bring the patio covered area into compliance with the building regulations. The building regulations? What building regulations? What building regulations was he not in compliance with? Was he not in compliance with the Building Code of Australia, or the Building Act 1975 of Queensland, or the Queensland Development Code? What exactly was he not in compliance with? And why was there a purported penalty of $2,000 for such an offence? Where did that come from? Have you ever heard the like of such a thing? It's surreal, isn't it? How would you like to receive such a notice in your mailbox? You're a pretty boy. Abby, what do you think about this carport fiasco, huh?